Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday, the 26th of August. You're live with the Prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson, Proclamation News and Gatherence. I come back again with my Christianity authoritarian ways. I can have my hands closed and let them come open, and they become of good, forceful use. That is when you know I come here with an absolute perspective for today's episode of Proclamation News and Gatherence. I want to give you some 10 commandments. I have 10 commandments of my own instance, but 10 commandments that you shall live by through Christianity throughout life. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall make into thee any graven image. That's second commandment. Third commandment, you shall not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. 3. Number 4, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 5. Honor your father and your mother. 6. You shall not kill. 7. You shall not commit adultery. 8. You shall not steal. 9. You shall not bear false witnesses against your neighbour. 10. You shall not covet. I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor. I've been trying to raise money on my social media for Great Ormond Street. I've actually donated £5 at the moment. So any money donated from my show, I think there's a donation button on my YouTube channel. All the money I'm going to be making for my hard efforts, for my show, people enjoying, coming through, listening. I'm going to put some money into Great Ormond Street. The organisation on Facebook is a legitimate thing because they're set up on people's birthdays, which my birthday's coming up. So I do want to try and raise them a few quid. I think I've got 160. The target is usually when you set them up. Anyway, if you want to change your lifestyle, your aspirations, someone's blocking your vision, perhaps you need to make change. Don't you? I always say make change. Change your healthy ways of eating, healthy way of living. Your body is your temple. RelaxUK.com. Relax UK Limited, health, travel and wellness products since 1997. UK relaxation shops and various ranges of products from relaxation, travel, wellbeing, bath feedback, sleeping and natural products. Give them a look. RelaxUK.com. PSS Alarms. Sponsored by PSS Alarms. Get a pen and paper ready or a mobile phone. Etiquette and pragmatic work code out. All areas covered, including central station monitor provided, all work done according to insurance requirement. This is a friend of mine's company. He's carried out works in Harry Kane, Stepmother's House, Hertfordshire, Potter's Bar. He's carried out etiquette works in Essex, such as Kazi Bar. He's changed over names several times. I don't know what a new name is. And many more big businesses. Installation of maintenance in true alarms, fire alarms, CCTV, all work guaranteed and certified to SSARB standard. 24-hour call-out service. Can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, or new business setup. Secure your business. Secure your home, secure your business. Your safety and employees in your business are paramount. So think safety, think first. Secure your equity. Get a pen and paper ready. Make sure you mention Professor Johnson. Please call Tarek Khan. His contact details as follows: 07908 216142. 07908 216142. I'll repeat: 07908 216142. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's Proclamation and Gatherence. I'm giving you, shouting all the odds, giving you some guidance of life. I want you to be prosperous. Only prosperity matters. I want you to inspire, not expire. I want you to do more for God than you did today. I want you to do more for God tomorrow than you did today. Absolutely. Before entering your vehicle on any road, not just UK, all over the world, think safety, think first. Plan your destination. Put sufficient fuel into your plan your destination A to B, but allow an extra because you might get caught in a road closure, road works, incidents, many things on the road that could cause you not from getting A to B. Check your engine oil, water coolant tank. Make sure your car is MOT, insured and taxed. Check for speed limits. Further police instructions, roadworks. Check your engine oil, water coolant tank. Make sure topped up to maximum level. Check your PSI limits. Make sure you've plenty of air pressure in your tyres, which is showing us on the tread of your tyre. Make sure your tyres are not bowled. Make sure you and passengers have safety belts, and your babies have safety belts adjacent to the car seat. Make sure you're strapped in, safe, and subtle in their seat. Check for people overtaking. Before turning, acting in safe, sufficient directional choice, check your centre mirror and wing mirror. Make sure people are not overtaking on the inside or the outside. Motorists, cyclists could possibly be pedestrians if you're going slow. So make sure you check your centre mirror and wing mirror before turning. All the obvious. Don't eat while you're driving. Don't smoke while you're driving. All the obvious. And definitely don't enter the vehicle under the influence of alcoholism or narcotics. Incident today at Southend-on-Sea. That's my 10 commandments. Southend-on-Sea, A129, queuing traffic. Traffic heavier than normal. Queuing traffic and traffic heavier than normal on A129. High Street, both ways, near the Roebuck pub. Not helped by the traffic, avoiding the earlier A127 problems. At 1:05 p.m. Chelmsford, A12, lanes closed. Stalled vehicle, queuing traffic. One lane closed and queuing traffic due to stalled vehicle on A12 northbound between junction 16 B1007 Stock Road, Gallywood, and junction 17 A30 Hal Green. Lane 1 of 2 is closed. 1:51 p.m. reported. Maidstone, Kent, we have A20 slow traffic in construction area. Slow traffic on A20 London Road both ways near Esso petrol station in a construction area. Temporary traffic lights are in place. North London, M25 queuing traffic, earlier vehicle having a tyre change. All lanes have been reopened. Queuing traffic due to early lorry having a tyre change on the M25 clockwise at junction 25. A10 Great Cambridge Road, Enfield. Lane 1 of 3 is closed between the slips. All lanes have been reopened. 12:45 p.m. All these are reported today. One more in Cambridge. A10 slow traffic in construction area. On at A10 Ely Road near the recycling centre, the construction area. Temporary traffic lights are in place. Get one more segment before we move on. Everyone's at risk of the big C word. All athletes, people overexerting their body, not getting enough sleep. You could be at work, not getting enough rest. Make sure you have plenty of sufficient sleep and your nutrition is pretty good. Some people are very, very unlucky from birth. The common health problem that could be cause the risk of cancer. Heartburn is among the most common complaints in adults. With growing obesity rate, one of the driving forces behind the conditions of prevalence. Go to your doctor if you've been suffering heartburn for a long time. Persistent acid reflux could be a sign of cancer, doctors warn. Heartburn is the most common complaint in adults. With growing obesity rates, one of the driving forces behind the condition's prevalence. As excess belly fat but pressure on stomach. This causes a backflow of acid of hormonal changes. Condition features a burn pain, known as heartburn, in lower chest area, the Express reports. While the condition remains largely benign, in some instances, it may signal life-threatening esophageal cancer, chronic and acid reflux, referred to gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, triggers a long chain of events. During the acid reflux, small amounts of stomach contents reserve course and back into the esophagus. It occurs when the sphincter muscle and the lower end of the esophagus relaxes at the wrong time. Along stomach acid. Along with stomach acid, back up the esophagus. When the acid starts stripping away with the lining of the esophagus, abdominal cells develop in the oesophageal tissues and turn it into a condition known as Barrett esophagus. Dr. Deepa Shah, at a gastroenterology specialist at Honor Health, explained, with Barrett's esophagus, the key is to catch it early and prevent it from turning into dysplasia or cancer. As you know, my political background is not quite gaining the influence of the human biology. Well, I've done human biology, but not this deep into human biology. The good news is that we have a lot of therapies available now. These could be decreased the risk of esophageal cancer, and it is exciting development among the gastroenterologists. Symptoms include a burning sensation in chest, usually after eating, which might be worse at night, chest pain, difficulty swallowing, regurgitation of food or sour liquid, sensation of a lump in the throat. Risks: acid reflux can also cause considerable discomfort, but when it persists, it can increase the risk of developing a deadly esophageal cancer. When heartburn becomes frequent, the body responds by attempting to heal the damage by replacing the esophagus lining with tissue very similar to the small intestine. The diet. Clinicians recommend dietary and lifestyle modification to prevent the GRD symptoms. The NHS lists some of the main causes of the condition, which are best avoided: coffee, alcohol, tomatoes, chocolate, and fatty, spicy foods, being overweight, smoke, and pregnancy and stress. UK has the highest incidences of the esophageal cancer in the world, at a rate of 7.2 per 1,000 in men and 2.5 in 100,000 in women. There are around 7,900 esophageal cancer deaths in the UK each year, making it the seventh most common cause of cancer death in the UK. Esophageal cancer is in the fourth most common cause of cancer death, while for women, it is the seventh most common cause of death. According to heartburn cancer in the UK, early symptoms of the kidney disease include chest pain, pressure, burning, coughing, or hoarseness, difficulty swallowing, weight lose without trying, worsening or persistent indigestion or heartburn, while 45% of all sufferers will survive for 1 year. In England, only 50% will make it past 5 years. This is mainly due to the fact that the disease is incurable in a larger number of cases. We're going to have a short break. I've got to just do some quick post-its on social media, on YouTube. I'm going to be here. We're going to have an LBC in the background, keeping the show going. I just want to say, send 5 likes. Thank you, Antic Humor. You're a wonderful human being. Everyone support my show. Really appreciate everyone sending me gifts and stars and supporting Proclamation, the Gatherence. Really appreciate you guys coming through, supporting the show. Just going to have a quick short break. I'll do some post-its on Twitter. We're going to see what Andrew Castle is saying at the moment. Andrew Castle from LBC. We've all got our different politics. Hope you enjoy the show. Hope you enjoy the show. We're going to talk about
Okay, Buggy, it's a T4 series.
Roger that, Jack. Downloading the manual. Oh, that's a big boy file. Need to delete some wedding photos to manage that.
You need to what?
Free up tons of space with Clean My Mac X.
Giving you peace of mind for a safer working environment for up to 28 days. Protect your team and workplace with Ice Shield from Ice Cleaning, the UK's cleaning experts. icecleaning.co.uk.
This is the sound of business owners bossing their day with Sage.
Fish delivery, bossed. Invoices, sorted.
Clients work out, boss. Expenses smashed.
Tax return, done.
Take control of business with new financial tools from Sage. Boss it. Try for free at sage.com. Terms and conditions apply.
With all our those moments we tell ourselves, it's just nothing. My tummy is just a bit uncomfortable.
It's just the runs.
It just doesn't feel right.
Just a bit of blood. That's new.
If you've had discomfort or diarrhea for 3 weeks or more, or seen blood in your pee, even just once, it could be a sign of cancer. It's probably nothing serious, but finding cancer early makes it more treatable. Your NHS wants to see you. Just contact your GP practice.
Andrew Castle on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Here on LBC, we continue to report on a suicide bombing, or if that's what it looks like, at Kabul airport. Unconfirmed reports of at least 10 deaths. That number is growing rather quickly. The Taliban are reporting 13 deaths, including children and Taliban guards wounded in explosion outside the airport's Abbey Gate. This is where American and British forces had been stationed. Earlier on, we took a report that the suicide bomber was actually in that sewage ditch where people line up with the papers, which they've been told to bring to begin the evacuation through the Abbey Gate into the military section of the airport, and then to be evacuated to a safer country. So that's where it's taken place. This is some 0.2 miles or so away from the Baron Hotel, where others have been told to go by the Foreign Office, amongst others, in official notification to go to the hotel. Exactly who is there, we don't know. The exact number of casualties, we don't know either. The United Kingdom says there's no record of British casualties so far. Al Jazeera are reporting a second explosion at Kabul airport, but having just spoken to somebody at Kabul who heard the first explosion, Suladani, he said that there was gunfire taking place as it had after the first explosion, but he didn't hear a second explosion. So details emerging of the attack at Kabul airport, which was widely predicted, at least for a day or so. There's much speculation as to who is responsible for this particular outrage and atrocity. ISIS-K seem to be in the frame for this one, although they have not claimed responsibility, and they are no fans of the Taliban, which is where the Taliban are coming out with a statement they have about the 13 people killed. We'll take a diplomatic and political response to this. That's being monitored by Dan Wilson, LBC's reporter. Dan?
Yeah, the Home Office is issuing this statement in the last half hour. So they say they're working urgently to establish what has happened in Kabul and its impacts on the ongoing evacuation effort that is, as you say, continuing over there. The primary concern, they say, remains the safety of British personnel, British citizens of Afghanistan. They say they're in close contact with the US and other NATO allies at an operational level on the immediate response to this incident. We don't know, of course, yet what it will mean in terms of the efforts on the ground and whether they have to be wrapped up any earlier. We've also heard from John Kirby, the press secretary at the Pentagon, who, of course, confirmed an hour or so ago now about this explosion. He said in the last few minutes that the confirmation that explosion has taken place near the Abbey Gate at Kabul airport, where, of course, so many people have been gathered outside. Also heard from affiliates in the US with CNN as well about President Biden, that he is in the Situation Room being briefed on this ongoing, unfolding situation outside the airports, and also too from the French ambassador to Afghanistan. He reportedly hearing suggestions that there has been a second explosion. As you say, the caller a few moments ago, who was in Kabul, said he hadn't heard the second explosion, but the French ambassador there saying, urging people nearby to leave the area and stay away and take shelter.
Thank you very much. That's Dan Wilson, LBC's reported. Back to you in a few minutes' time. The Turkish Defence Ministry saying 2 explosions at the airport, but there's no confirmation of that. And actually not clear if the crowds were actually there. The number of casualties from the explosion remaining unclear. Western officials asking large crowds gathered outside the gates to leave the area. Well, of course, if they haven't already, but where do they go? Back on the main road to Kabul, it was suggested by Suladani. Let's take the views of Bob Seeley, Conservative MP for the Isle of Wight, member of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, who served in Afghanistan. Bob, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Your thoughts at this time?
But just really trying to find out what's happened. So if this is a one-off suicide bomb,
surely
been a signal that in the coming days it'll be part of more complex attacks as people try to, ISIS or Al-Qaeda groupings actually try to get into the airport to attack UK other forces. We don't know that's happening, but it may be that somebody will try that. The Taliban may be using gunfire to calm people down. Clearly not in a very productive use of it. So there's a risk that lots of things could be happening at once. Orders breaking down. elements of the Taliban may seek to control the crowds using greater violence. Taliban may use violence themselves, and ISIS and Al-Qaeda may try to conduct more attacks and maybe more structured attacks, where they use suicide bombers to blow themselves into an airbase or into an area where they can attack people, be they Western forces or Afghans trying to leave.
Indeed, and now what does America do next? We would expect to hear from President Biden on this. Certainly, we're expecting to hear from John Kirby, the Pentagon press spokesman. Says,
well, I don't necessarily see why you'd be hearing from President Biden unless there's very significant loss of life or American forces would be involved. So I suspect that Biden is not necessarily going to be commenting on this. And I think, let's just see if this is a one-off or if this is going to be part of a new, a sort of new chain of events, as long as Western forces are in the airport.
As somebody that served in Afghanistan, Bob, when you see this unfolding, you will probably be thinking about people that you worked with and alongside. It's probably quite an emotional time to be watching what's happening. Most people are saying this didn't need to happen.
I think it's true to say that MPs weren't particularly vocal about this before the event, but I think pulling out in the conditions that we have done is actually going to be a massive self-inflicted wound. I think Trump was a fool. I think Trump was unfit to be president because of his ethical values, and sadly, I think Biden isn't much better because of his situation as regarding his health and his ability to make decisions. So I think this is an appalling decision to pull out by the US, and I think with hindsight, Nicola, the UK should have tried harder to turn that decision around. How we leave is not really the point. The point is that there are 20 years of investment in people's lives and massive amounts of effort that have gone into creating a fragile state in Afghanistan. And we
have to cut Andrew Castle off there. Sorry if he's enjoying that. Not quite sure what happened there. Not quite sure what happened there. Presenter's death due to COVID. Lisa Shaw, presenter's death due to complications of the COVID vaccine. Lisa Shaw was a presenter on BBC Radio Newcastle until her death in May. The radio presenter died due to complications of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, a coroner has found. Lisa Shaw worked for BBC Newcastle, died at age 44 in May after developing headaches a week after getting her first dose of the vaccine. Newcastle coroner Karen Dilks heard Miss Shaw suffered blood clots in her brain, which ultimately led to her death. The inquest heard the condition linked to AstraZeneca vaccine was very rare. The coroner said Lisa died due to complications of AstraZeneca COVID vaccination. Miss Dilks said that Miss Shaw was previously fit and well, but could conclude that it was clearly established that her death was due to very rare vaccine-induced thrombocytopenia, a condition which leads to swelling and bleeding on the brain, a severe headache. Miss Shaw, a mother of one from Concept, received her first dose of the vaccine in April 29th. On the 13th of May, she's taken to ambulance University Hospital, North Durham, after having a headache for several days. In a statement, Dr. John Holmes, who treated her, said she complained of having a severe headache, shooting and stabbing across her forehead and behind her eyes. Tests were carried out and blood clots were found in the brain, prompting her to be moved into a neurology specialist unit in Newcastle Royal Victoria Infirmary. According to UK medical regulator, there have been 322 reported cases of 58 reported deaths and nearly 35 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine in the UK. Dr. Christopher Johnson, a consultant in anaesthetics and intensive care at the RVI, said Miss Shaw had been conscious for several days and had been treated for the clots with drugs which seemed to be successful. Do the same thing, but on the evening of 16th of May, Miss Shaw said the headaches were worse as she had difficulty speaking. Scans showed she had suffered from a hemorrhage in the brain, and after her condition deteriorated, part of the skull was removed to try and relieve the pressure inside her head. Her condition continued to worsen despite more surgery and treatment. She died on the 21st of May. Dr. Johnson said doctors were in daily conference and national panel about the vaccine induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, a condition Miss Shaw was believed to be suffering from. Asked if he would change the treatments given Miss Shaw, he said no. Dr. Johnson said that National Institute of Health and Care Excellence NICE published guidelines on how to treat the condition in July, which matched the treatment Miss Shaw received. Lisa got all treatments that were recommended. In order they were recommended, he said, if we had the same presentation tomorrow, we'd do the same thing. Very rare. Dr. Tomo Polofsky, a consultant neuropathologist who examined Miss Shaw after her death, said, given her history of being fit and healthy woman with no medical problems, it was surprising she died of blood clots and bleeding to the brain. He said, time-wise, it seems most likely her death was indeed vaccine-induced. Miss Dilk said the condition was very rare, but agreed with Dr. Pawlowski's findings. After the hearing, Miss Shaw's family said in a statement, this is another difficult day in what has been devastating time for us. The death of our beloved Lisa left a terrible void in our family and in our lives. She truly was the most wonderful wife, mum, daughter, sister, and friend. BBC reporter, BBC Radio Newcastle reporter. What an absolute shame. Absolute shame. People listen to the news day in, day out, and they find that their reporters passed away through COVID regulations. It's a shame, isn't it? Absolute shame. Anyway, moving on. I don't mean in any way like to make it a rude statement, a bold statement, but we've got to move on the show. Heart condolences go out to anyone who's lost family members through COVID. Very, very unfortunate not to be here, and saddening for weakening for families, absolutely. The Armour tiger, Igor, has sadly died at Colchester Zoo. For wildlife, people that enjoy the zoo. The popular tiger at Colchester Zoo has sadly died after 15 years living there. Staff at Colchester Zoo have wished a fond farewell to their beloved Armour tiger, Igor, who sadly passed away on Wednesday. This is yesterday. Igor was born on June 2005 at Vienna Zoo before arriving in Colchester in November 2006, where he formed close bonds with his fellow tigers. The zoo confirmed that the animal care team had been monitoring Igor closely due to a growth on his head that was suspected to be a tumour. After consulting the zoo's veterinary team and following a previous biopsy, the decision was taken for Igor to undergo surgery yesterday to remove the growth. Unfortunately, during the procedure, it became clear it was an imperable tumour, and that was a difficult decision that was taken to put Igor to sleep. Announcing the news, the zoo said, at 70-year-old age, Igor was in a later than expected lifespan, and he leaves behind his best friend, female Armour tiger, Anushka, who is 1 year older than Igor. The pair had been together since Igor arrived at the zoo, and unlike many tigers who prefer a solitary life, this pair were inseparable, spending most of their lives by each other's side. In more recent years, Igor also had come to know our other female Armour tiger, Tiger, who joined us in 2017. In 2019, Tiger gave birth to 3 cubs fathered by Igor, 2 boys named Misha and Pasha, and a female named Tatana. They added Igor's personality traits live in with his cubs, which is comfort knowing his legacy lives on these beautiful cats. Now 2 years old, these 2 tigers will head out to other zoo collections in the hope of helping to increase the population of endangered big cat species. It's not till you realise cats do have, characteristics just like humans. Obviously, reading this story as it is so, authored, very, very well engineered and authored, the way they put it across to make us understand that animals have character. They have character, same as us. They have birth to, have children, and now they are mother and father. They have the same everyday life as us. Colchester Zoo Animals Care Team will continue to closely monitor other tigers as they adjust to live without Igor. They added it's a very sad time for staff as they would say goodbye to the tiger, who left big paw prints on their hearts. That is, I love the way that's put across. It makes you really think further than just animals, because that's what you do, don't you? You're not really a big zoo goer, I mean, I'm sitting here most days, I'm studying, I'm reading different forms of academics, you know, it's law, family law, criminal law. You know, I'm not actually getting the wildlife experience. You know, obviously I understand it reading it in the media, but I'm not attending to the zoo no more. You don't get that. You sort of get a bond with the animals, don't you? How they go to their day-to-day life. You don't really get that when you're too thick in the thick of things, of studying or anything, doing your day-to-day regime. Make universal credit top up permanent with Tory MPs. Boris Johnson wants to see a jobs-led recovery with wage rises rather than through taxation of other people. 2 Conservative MPs have written to Boris Johnson, urging him not to press on plans to cut universal credit payments for October. Peter Aldos and John Stevenson said £20 per week increase brought as a response to the pandemic should be made permanent. The letter comes amid warning from the two charities to cut into the top-up bill would push millions of families into debt, but ministers have said the increase was only ever a temporary measure. Boris Johnson said the key focus for the government was coming out of the pandemic and jobs-led recovery, saying he was proud to see living wages had risen. I'm very pleased to see that the way unemployment numbers have been falling. Employment numbers have been rising, also wages have been rising, the Prime Minister said. He added, my strong preference is for the people to see their wages rise through their efforts rather than through the taxation of other people put into the pay packets rather than welfare. Hard-working families. In a letter, the MPs who represent constituencies in Suffolk and Carlisle and not so-called Red Bull, former Labour strongholds, said they did not take this step lightly. But they told the Prime Minister they had very serious concerns about the ability of low-income families to make ends meet if a top-up is removed. And they said they were alarmed to see the government unwilling to need widespread warnings that they are coming for all quarters and the impact living standards. Letter reads, our central promise at the last election that you articulated so well was to level up. Infrastructure is crucial, part of this agenda, but the emphasis solely on the eye-catching projects were to risk for forgetting important investment in people in these communities, without whom the vision cannot be released. They told Mr Johnson that the majority of people in place by the cut off, in fact, already in work and low-paid, hard-working families will see up to £1,040 slash for income. £20 a week boost is one of the best legacies from the pandemic. Investment must continue, added. Speaking on today's Radio 4 programme, Mr Aldo said the feedback he's getting in his constituency, it is that it's going to cause a lot of awful problems for a lot of people, both in work and looking for work. He said over the past 10 years, universal credit had not been funded as it needed, and there is an element to catch up that the extra £20 a week was helping to address. The MP's intervention comes as amid increased warnings from campaigners and changing rooms. Charities Citizens Advice has warned that the third-party people on universal credit, or at least 2.3 million, will enter into debt with an extra payment is removed in October. It said the average shortfall for people would be between £51 and £55 a month. Chief Executive Dame Clark Morality said a cut to universal credit this autumn will be a hammer blow to millions of people. It undermines the chance of more equal recovery by tipping all families into the red by taking money from communities most need. The government must listen to the growing consensus that it should reverse course and keep to its vital lifeline. Time for MPs to step up. In separate breakdown our figures, Joseph Rantry Foundation, which campaigns against poverty, has said the third of working age families would be affected in more than 400 constituencies across Britain. Deputy Director of Policy at the charity, Kate Schmucker, said the warnings coming from all sides. Now is the time for all MPs to step up and oppose cuts to their constituents' living standards. She added, plunging low-income families into deeper poverty and debt was well sucking billions of pounds out of local economies in a way to level up. It's not too late for the Prime Minister and Chancellor to listen to the huge opposition to this damaging cut and changing course. Speaking on today's programme, one universal credit claimant, Karen, said the extra £20 a week had meant everything to her. She went on to the benefit after being unable to turn to work after a car accident and has had notification that her payment will revert to an old rate after September instalment. She said, I've found everything so much more expensive now, especially with lots of shortages in the shops. You can't make a choice of budget like you used to be able to. Everything still has to be paid. The electricity bill still has to be paid. Universal credit uplift was designed to be a temporary measure up to help people through the pandemic, and the number of people with benefit doubled over the course of the crisis. So extra money costs a lot of time when the Treasury is trying to bring spending under control. But charities, the opposition parties are going to remove £20 a week will have devastating impact on individuals and families already struggling and make ends meet. There was debate in government over ending the uplift. The Work and Pension Secretary, Treacy Kofi, argued for it to stay. And several Conservatives are nervous about impending change. With a letter, a sign of unhappy some backbenchers are, the question is whether more will speak out in the coming weeks and how pressure they will put in number 10 and 11 to have a rethink. Labour have also criticised the cut, saying it would hit the lowest paid hardest and damage the country's economic recovery. Shadow Work Minister Pension Secretary Jonathan Reynolds says the time for running out Conservatives see sense. Back struggling families and cancel their cut of universal credit. Labour will maintain the uplift until we completion of a aggressive and fairer social security systems. Speaking in July, Chancellor Rishi Sunak confirmed the uplift will be scrapped, as is always intended to be a temporary measure. He said the furlough scheme would top up as part of the policy put in place with the crisis and will come to an end. And he said ministers thought the best approach going forward to support people was to help them into work and make sure those jobs are well paid. The government spokesperson said the temporary uplift to universal credit was designed to help claimants through the economic shock and financial distribution of the toughest days of the pandemic, and it has done so. Universal credit will continue to provide a vital safety net with the record vacancies available alongside a successful vaccination rollout. It's right that we're now focusing on plan for jobs, helping claimants to increase their earnings by boosting their skills and getting into work, progressing in work or increasing their hours. Ladies and gents, I just want to give you a big shout out. Proclamation news and Gatherence. Thank you ever so much for everyone listening. I really hope you enjoy the show time in, time out. Time in and time again, I just want to say God bless, take care, one love. I really appreciate all the support. You people coming in, you've been observant, preservant. You're part of the aristocracy socially. Thank you, God bless, and I will be back again soon.